Hey guys, my name is JW13 and today I'm going to be teaching you all Final Rush Skip. To be specific, I'm going to teach you all how to do Final Rush Skip as fast as safely possible. So it's going to be a bit more precise than a Final Rush Skip that I could be teaching you, but this is something that anyone can learn to do reliably. And it really is quite fast. So let's get right into it. As a little side note, I'll be quickly walking you through the rest of the level, just saying what I do, because I get low 118s in runs, without too much scary stuff happening. So let's get right into it. So basically, what you see most runners do here on this first rail is as soon as they land on it, they jump and then bounce on it. What I do right before landing on the rail after bouncing is a homing attack, making it a bounce acceleration. Bounce acceleration is just that, it's a bounce and then a homing attack before you hit the floor, or in this case rail. So the closer you are to the rail when you homing attack, the faster it goes. You can homing attack while you're inside the rail, which is like really fast. But that requires you bouncing very early after jumping, which creates a risk of death. So just bounce when you would usually do it and try to get a homing attack on the rail while you're at it. So as we approach this section, I don't do the rail switch, it's unsafe. If it goes wrong, you land on one of the rails on the side and then you have to kind of improvise. Unless you got that section practiced, in which case respect to you. But I just do a jump off, bounce excel, and then charge my next spin dash. Again, bounce excel, bounce, homing attack before you hit the floor. Goes faster. So yeah, landed on the floor here. Now I'm going to charge a spin dash. And as soon as I let the spin dash go, as soon as there's no floor beneath me, I press the action button again to do a bounce onto this next rail. This is not something you have to do, but it is like half a second to a second faster. The risk that this poses, I don't think you can bounce too early. I don't think I've ever died by bouncing too early. Maybe by undercharging my spin dash. Make sure your spin dash is properly charged, otherwise you can bounce too early. But if your spin dash is fully charged and you're going straight, I don't think that can happen. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments so that other people can read that as well. But yeah, I bounce onto the rail. The reason that it's kind of sketchy is because you're going to have a lot of speed when this rail ends. You don't jump off this rail, you just let it happen. You hold forward as soon as you get off the rail and then smoothly transition to a upright, as you see in the input display down below. If you do that correctly, you're going to hit this rail just fine. And then you're going to, I do a neutral stick for this first corner. I don't consider it as important to do a little left tap for that. So I just hold it neutral stick. And then for this right corner, since it's a bit bigger, I do a slight holding right to maintain more speed. Then coming into this section, this was one that I was very afraid of when I just started running. But I consider it to be pretty safe as long as you bounce very early, not as early as possible. You gotta leave 3 frames or so in between there, otherwise you're in real danger. Or if you don't charge your spin dash properly, you wanna have a max charge spin dash and then bounce very, very early. If you bounce later, then it becomes more dangerous. Because when you bounce earlier, you have all this part of the rail to land on. Providing you keep going straight forward, like straight into the rail. What I actually recommend is that you hold quite far, like almost all the way to up left. Because if you're gonna hold more up, you're gonna try to go for this part of the rail. If you bounce sooner, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna die if you squeeze through these 2 rails. Instead, try to go as much to the left as possible. Not only will you have much more space to land on the rail, but also if you go too far left, you don't die because you can just land on this platform here, take some springs here, and then play the level as so. So yeah, after you land on this rail here, you go for it here, you jump, you bounce onto the next rail. The earlier you bounce, the faster you are, but you take the risk because if you bounce too early, you go between the rails and you die. So if you want to prioritize safety, bounce later. If you want to prioritize speed, bounce earlier. Get the bounce. This is where final rush skip starts. Some people might tell me, no, it starts when you jump off the rail. I think that everything starting from this part, starting from the amount of speed you have on this rail, is very pivotal for how your final rush skip goes. And I'm going to teach you how to have the speed that you need to follow the rest of the instructions of this video safely. So you are first going to do one bounce on this platform with the checkpoint, and then do your second bounce on the steep downhill. I'm going to quickly teach you with a visual why we do that. So basically, your second bounce goes faster than your first bounce. If you do two bounces simultaneously, your second bounce goes down faster than your first bounce. And why this matters is, let me draw this little visual here. Let's say you have the platform with the checkpoint here and then the steep downhill here. Let's say you jump off the rail and decide to not bounce on the checkpoint platform. You'll do the single bounce, but it will go down much less quickly while you continue to hold forward. So you'll go much more parallel with this platform. So there will be a lot of a more precise time to hit it. So like anywhere between like here and here would be safe, which is an incredibly short amount of distance. So instead, if we bounce here, and let's say bounce here, boom, then we bounce off there. Now when we bounce, we go down much steeper. This is a bit of an exaggerated visual, but we'll have all the way from here to here to do it. So yeah, you have a lot more space, it becomes a lot safer. But if you notice anyway that you're bouncing too late, this goes for either setup, though I really just do recommend bouncing on this checkpoint platform. I guess you can neutral stick and land on the same spot. So yeah, if you notice that you're going to go past the steep downhill, neutral stick for a bit to make sure that you land on it. Alright, back to the video. So after you do that, bounce this, bounce that, you are also going to bounce on this orange striped rail. This takes practice, this can be scary. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a backup for if you miss it and land on that floor bit anyway. So for now, let's see what happens if you do land on it. Third bounce lands on this rail. Immediately, what you want to do is you want to begin to hold to the right before pressing A, because that's going to make you do a rail switch. If you are not holding right and are neutral sticking or holding up instead, you'll just do a jump off the rail. And then, well, the setup goes all wrong. So hold right, tap A, get on the final rush skip rail. And this is where things get interesting. Up to this point, or up to very recently in Sonic Adventure 2 history, since Final Rush Skip was found, we would jump off this rail earlier in most cases, between like the first and second ring. But KD4 recently discovered that the later we jump, the shorter our path to the goal ring can be. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do a much more optimal and fast final rush skip. So we are not going to be jumping off between the first and second rings. Instead, we are going to be jumping off when we are in the middle of the fourth ring. So here we go. Go all the way down. We're neutral sticking, holding the action button, and then as soon as we get inside of this fourth ring, you are going to press A and then the action button to bounce. And then you're going to hold the left camera trigger and you're going to hold a full right on your control stick until the camera begins turning. This is a lot of inputs and to do. I'll put the inputs on the screen to make it a bit more easy to visualize. Get used to this first. Like, before trying the whole thing at once, make sure that you get used to doing the inputs at this first part correctly, because they're very important, and when you do not have muscle memory for them, they are so complicated, so difficult to learn, get your brain wired. So take your time with this. And as soon as you're comfortable with it, watch the rest of the instructions. If you do it right, it's going to look like this. And as soon as your camera turns, you are going to steer along with it. And you do that by doing a gradual transition from holding right to holding up. And then when the camera goes through this final bit, you go from holding up gradually to holding up left. And then we have this visual here. Now where we want to be is dead set in the middle between this red bit of this tower and the earth. So we want to be falling like this. And you probably wonder, how long do I need to be falling for? Well, here's an interesting thing. You can notice that compared to this tower, if I were to take a screenshot here, toss it in my art software, stretch it all the way out. If I were to draw a line parallel from the inverted tower, then you could see that I am on the right of this. And that is because we jumped off the rail later. If you jump off the rail earlier, like between the first and second ring, we are going to be here. And meanwhile, the kill plane, if we can see it, stretches like this. Which means that if we go further to the right, we'll have much more space to fall down and get past the kill plane. If we're further on the left, we'll have much less space before we hit the kill plane. So the amount of time that you are going to be falling for as soon as the camera changed and your control stick direction is all right. The next part of the instructions don't take place until 14 seconds after you jump off the rail when you are on the right side, which is always the case if you jump off the rail when I tell you to. However, if you jump off the rail earlier, and Sonic lines here, then I recommend doing the next part about 15 to 15 and a half seconds after jumping off the rail. So 15 is probably reliable. But this tutorial is very much focused on jumping off the rail in the fourth ring. The earlier you jump off, the longer you need to be following this step of falling down. So yeah, 14 seconds exactly after jumping off the rail in this case, which is, as we can see, if we scroll the way back, I jump off the rail at 17 flat, which means that at 31 flat, we are going to enter the next step, which is aggressively going from up left to up and then back to up left very quickly. What this does is it gets rid of a lot of your speed, and if you go below a certain speed threshold, your gravity resets. So that is exactly what we're doing. And as soon as your gravity is reset, we are going to navigate back to this as we drew it here. And then get rid of all that. Center line, we want to be falling down the center line for 3 seconds exactly after we begin to reset our gravity. So until exactly 17 seconds after we get off the rail, or 18 if you jump too early. So yeah, that would be 34 flat. And here, we begin turning. Now there is no kill plane left. The only way in which you could hit the kill plane is if you were to very quickly try to go to the right and hit it that way. But on the left, we can do a very quick left turn, as quick as you like. You will not hit the kill plane at this point, as long as you followed these instructions. So where we're going to be turning, and I'm going to be slowly advancing to that. So you can see every part of the Earth. Very nice. I think this is like supposed to be America or something. And then some made up island between America and Asia. And then a weird version of Asia where Japan doesn't exist. You have this little place here. This little spot, this little sea, this socket, as I like to call it. And we are going to be lining up on the right side of this socket, providing you did everything right up to this point. So that's what you see me do, kind of correcting in there. And as soon as you're in there, keep on holding forward, nothing to worry about. As for the turn, you don't need camera triggers, anything. You can just do it with your control stick. Camera just works with you, does what you want. And then we keep falling on forward until the background references appear, in my case, at 1 minute and 2 seconds. So in come the background references. Whoa! And as soon as they appear, you are going to be lining up so that the middle of Sonic aligns with the far right of this tower. And again, as long as you did everything right, this is completely safe. And then, as soon as we are close enough to the tower, go down the middle. And very importantly, don't homing attack out of your bounds. If you have very little height, being in your bounce state will most of the time be able to save you, unless you're really far too low, and then there's no saving you, of course. But that's something that will not happen providing you follow these instructions properly. So keep falling, and then we get onto the goal ring for a 118.44. Brilliant. So yeah, if you have any more questions, please ask me down in the comments. This video is not done yet because I will show you how the skip looks like with kill planes. So let me quickly navigate to that. Oh, get the audio out of the way so that you don't hear me breathing. So yeah, we're going to not just play the levels normal, bounce, bounce, bounce on the rail, rail switch, and inputs. So yeah, just as I talked about, kill plane is diagonal, higher on the left, lower on the right. That's why we like being on the right side, so that we can drop our gravity earlier. And again, in this video I jumped off the rail at 17 flat as well, so I'll be resetting my gravity at 31 flat. You can probably do it a bit earlier if you want. I am playing it safe here. This part leaves a lot of room for error. So you can learn by yourself at which time you can drop, but generally I think this is pretty safe. So 31 and then 34, and as you see, the kill plane is all gone. You have all the room in the world. You just turn left and do the rest of it. And the reason we are on the right side of the socket, and I'll fast forward the video a bit, is because you have this big scary kill plane that we're trying to get past. And that is also why we wait a bit longer before crossing into the middle of the tower. And I wait much longer than I need to, again, to give you a margin of error. In this case I did a bit quicker because obviously I know where the kill plane is, so I know when to do it. But yeah, this is more than enough height, by the way. Some people tell you like, ooh, it's scary. But you can be aligning with like this part and still be pretty much safe. So yeah, fall down, get into the goal ring. 118.25, absolutely brilliant. Using the safe strategy that I have been teaching you today. So yeah, good luck everyone practicing this version of Final Rush Skip. I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, you can ask me anything. I'll leave my Discord details in the description. You can send me messages. I'll respond within a day. And I hope to see you guys next time. Let me know how it goes. And I hope you all have a nice day. Take care everyone. Bye bye. Alright guys, as promised, here is the instruction for the backup. So the backup goes for when you land over here. A lot of people consider this a part where you're pretty screwed, but I'm gonna quickly teach you a nice backup. First you want to do is you want to walk over to this corner of the platform. This is a corner where your camera is manipulatable, so you can line it up just like this. It's a bit more Yeah, there we go. And then you can spin dash, hold forward while you're rolling, and then let go of your control stick so you can easily do the neutral stick and the inputs when you jump bounce off the rail. And yeah, it goes like this. You bounce, don't bounce too early, because then that happens. Make sure you bounce at a proper time. I'm not very used to this. It's not crazy safe, but in general, like for most people, landing there constitutes a restart. So it's better than nothing. And then from there, as you see, you can just follow along with the rest of the instructions again, if you do it right. So yeah, up, neutral stick, bounce, and go. As soon as you land on the rail, it's go time. Otherwise, you go too far and you can't follow along anymore. So yeah, there it is. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.